I think, okay, we are live, everybody. Welcome to the James Bond Bitcoin live stream. I have two guests. I have Ozzy the BS filter, and he's returned. He's probably gonna always come back. And then I have Josh. How do you say your last name? Is it Fawcett?
Yeah, it's Fausset, like
A little
French.
French. Okay,
Yeah,
Fawcett. It sounds very classy. And
yeah,
you're mostly into Ethereum.
yeah. That's my favorite one right now. But
Okay,
yeah,
so
let's
he's
see.
here to talk about Ethereum. And we're basically just gonna talk about mostly how Josh came into Ethereum. So why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and how you came into the crypto space.
Okay. I work in renewable energy, and I have this terrible habit of trying to find the newest and coolest tech. And unfortunately, I did not listen to my instincts in earlier years and jump into Bitcoin. I should have. Man, what was I thinking? So, anyway, of late, I figured, I need to not lose the value in what little money I have in my life. Um, I'm not complaining. We all live fantastically here in the United States, but
Absolutely.
yeah, I didn't want to lose the bit of money that I had, and I see the turmoil in the world. I've seen the cycles in the economy lay out over hundreds of years, and I think that we are due for some correction. I think we stifled correction with quantitative easing, and I think the U.S. dollar is due for some reckoning in the U.S. economy in general. So I was looking for a place to store that money, and Bitcoin just seemed so far out of reach as far as growth potential and the as compared to Ethereum. And the only reason I jumped into Ethereum over some other Litecoin or Ripple, NIM, Stratus, take your pick, was Ethereum seemed to have this very strong alliance, the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, formed back in February, or announced back in February. Um, and I thought to myself, this list is too world controlling for me to ignore it. Too much weight in it.
Let me
And
ask you, Josh. Hold on right there. Let me ask you some. Do you know what the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance actually does?
they push, I believe, for standardization and implementation of the Ethereum platform in for business. I think that's what they do. Um, I don't see why else they would exist.
Okay,
Um,
because it's kind of my understanding that they I don't know if this has any I don't know if people know this or not, but the alliance is basically a private chain. They're using the open source software, but it has actually nothing to do with the token itself, Ethereum. And I know they're talking about maybe they'll connect to the main chain, but I don't
mhm.
see how they're going to do that with Ethereum tokens. But
So
do
the
you
Ethereum
think that?
blockchain is
Yeah,
not
go ahead.
supported by the Ethereum blockchain that the Enterprise Alliance is planning to use is not supported by or fueled by Ether at all.
I'm not sure if it is, and that's kind of the weird thing about the whole Ethereum alliance because they want to just use the technology, but not. I don't think they want to use the token. And if they are using the token, reason maybe the price is going up, they may use the technology and use Ether the token within it, but it doesn't make sense to really do that. And from what I understand, I'm watching other people's video that the alliance is it seems more like a marketing ploy because it costs $3,000 to be a part of this alliance, and I think it's like a project where they just go out and do these conferences and news feeds, press releases. I don't know if you look like you work in the corporate world, but you know that they have all these little groups where you join and you pay like X amount of dollars and they go around and they have conferences and you're part of this alliance group. Do you have anything to say on that?
Yeah, I don't know how they would have a blockchain separate from the Ethereum network and not not call and still call it Ethereum, but I'm glib to some details, I'm sure. So if that is true, then yeah, we need to know about that. That said, I don't know that the Ether fuel still wouldn't have some place in that private network. I would have to answer that question with some research, right?
Yeah, I
Um,
think it might, because if you like the do you know about the Ethereum token assets? Are you familiar with that concept?
no, only, well, you're talking about the tokens that are built on the Ethereum platform,
Right. Well, I'm assuming it's going to be something
Notice, Augur.
and but it's private. But if it's, I'm just talking because I'm not very technical myself. But if they're doing something like that, then maybe they do need Ethereum for gas. But it wouldn't make any
That's the
sense
way
since
that I
it's
understand.
private.
Yeah, that's the way that I understand the entire network is supposed to be built, is that as it is today, the operators of the nodes on the network are not compensated with anything except for ether uh, that fuels the transactions that happen across the network. But you have to have enough ether yourself to become a master node. And then I think that even plays into moving from proof of work to proof of stake, where in order to be a proof of stake node, you have to have at least 1,000 ether or something more than that. And that ether becomes jeopardized if your prediction that a given transaction is valid becomes invalidated by the other peers in the network. So by risking those 1,000 ether, those fuel, uh, they keep people honest. Basically, they know that
Okay.
people can't make false transactions and or negligent by approving transactions that aren't backed up by the entire blockchain
Okay.
database.
Joshua, can you tell us like your background, like where you came from and what you did before you got into cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, this is not my job. This is just something I'm just a regular American dad working on my
Right.
dad bod with 4 kids in a minivan. And so I'm just looking for a way to store money. And in the long run, if it turns out to be an Amazon or an eBay or whatever, this is a new world. Who knows? That's the reason I'm doing it. My background is far from this. I work in renewable energy. I've worked in renewable energy for 8 years as a wind turbine engineer and a wind farm manager. I had 3 wind farms, and then I came to work for a software company who makes software predicting failures in wind turbines. So I have worked with some coding to try and organize data and analyze it for wind turbines, but I've never been involved with anything in blockchain or even writing in JavaScript or anything like that. So I'm
All
a
right.
bit glib.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I just want to know your background and kind of give the audience some idea of where you're coming from. And then let me go to Ozzy real quick. I mean, what do you? I know you have Ethereum, so I know you may be up to date on some stuff going on. I know the consensus is kind of big on the Ethereum, from what I could tell. What do you think about the Ethereum Alliance?
Well, I don't really, I don't know how to say this nicely. I don't think it matters. I think we live in a time and age where popularity rises or makes value more than the actual technology itself. Um, I think just the big corporations going in there, and regardless if it's involved, the network involves the blockchain or not, it's gonna give it value. Um, but I do want to note that the only thing I do not like about Ethereum is that its coin does not have a cap. That bothers me, and that keeps me from going long. So it's more of a flip for me than a long term like Bitcoin is.
No, yeah, it's so you're using Ethereum just as a trading, not really. Do you ever plan on using a contract or any of its DApp? Ozzy?
As soon as they can explain to us what exactly it is, I mean, I hear so much about it, but I have yet to see an example of it or an exact explanation of what the fuck it is. I wish I knew what it was, and I try. I consider myself a sharp guy, and I can't figure out what it is. I'm sure I hope, or these corporations that are signing up know what it is, and but no, I don't have any plans on anything besides selling it when I think it's going to hit its peak, which is far from. I think it's still got a lot of room to go up.
Well, that's all right. I think like a lot of people are doing that, because I've asked a lot of Ethereum users, what dApps they use, or what contracts are they using it, and they say none. They're not using any dApps or any contracts. They're buying and holding.
Yeah, because nobody. I mean, I'm thinking the same. Nobody knows what it is. I mean, it sounds interesting. Like, this is what I understood so far. Like, for example, let's say I wanted to send Joshua 100 Ether, and I can put a contract in there and say, like, okay, Joshua, I need you to build me 5 wind turbines for these 100 Ether. And then I have something to fall back on if he doesn't build those 5 wind turbines for me. That's the understanding I have, but I don't know if that's correct, or if that's what it is, or if there's more to it than that, which is pretty cool. I mean, I don't think that's like a huge technology, but I mean, it's pretty cool. There's got to be more to it than that.
Okay, let me ask both of you: have any of you heard about the DAO? Let's go with
the Dow
Josh.
Jones.
No, he's talking about decentralized autonomous organizations.
Have you heard about the DAO, the DAO?
Yeah, decentralized autonomous organization. So,
or OA or something. Yeah. So
DAO.
what have you heard about the DAO, Joshua? I know you've literally got into the space like 2017. So
yeah,
tell us what you know.
Yeah, I'm fresh off the boat here on this, but the DAO, as I understand it, at one time was able to sell, I think it was, I don't want to speculate how much it was worth of Ether out into groups of investors, and that's how they got the initial funding for all the Ether for the company to run. Well, something happened where some hackers were able to exploit a vulnerability or I don't know. Ivan the programmer has a really good video on this, talking about the distinction between Ethereum Classic and Ethereum undistinguished Ethereum. There was somebody who was able to exploit $55 million worth of the original Ethereum that was established by the DAO, and they recognized too late that they had to make this change, and that's when the hard fork occurred, which ironically I think only happened maybe a month or so before the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. I wonder, maybe there was a rush to that, or maybe it's just coincidental that the alliance was announced.
The time limit was about 30 days before the money could be withdrawn, so they had to do something before that time frame. So that's one of the reasons why they had to do it within a month.
Yeah, but I don't know any more than that. I think DAO is something that's being touted by not just Ethereum, but it's also being touted by, I'm learning about a man named Dan Larimer of EOS. He still is tied to BitShares and Steemit. He headed both those organizations in the past, and he's talking a lot about DAO and the ability to run organizations without having to even charge a transaction fee, so that organizations they don't have to rely on some kind of financial infrastructure or fee system to make transfers of money, or let alone fund anything to make votes or contributions to those organizations pass back and forth.
Okay, Joshua.
So that it's exciting.
Joshua, let me
Yeah.
cut in here. We got a question for the audience, and I just want you to answer real quick. Will there be a pullback on the Ethereum price? I think Tomcat is in the chat, and I think that's what he's asking. What do you think, Joshua?
Yeah. Let me look into my crystal ball, Tomcat.
Yes, everyone has a crystal ball.
You know what? Here's my thought on it, and I'm gonna go somewhat from what somebody else told the interviewer on Bloomberg News. Emily Chan was interviewing, I believe his name was Fred Wilson from Grand Union Station Venture Capital. He said his prediction for 2017, of all the things he could pull out of thin air, Ethereum would pass the market cap of Bitcoin. That it's valuable, more valuable than Bitcoin. Who knows? Value is what someone will pay for something, right? If that were true at the time you made that prediction, Bitcoin was at a market cap of about $30 billion. The market cap of Ethereum was $11 billion. So if we just say roughly that the price of Ethereum was $100, by the end of the year, it will triple to $300 by his prediction. His predictions have been proven to be wrong. So I'm not going to go by his prediction, but I've seen other people make more overt predictions saying $500 by the end of the year, ridiculous things, $1,000 by the end of the year. Who knows? This whole thing could be a bubble that crashes tomorrow. Who knows? If it were up to me and I were just looking at the lay of the land, the events that are planned for the rest of the year, the way this thing is going, the participation, here's the biggest thing, the participation of people in the world who are actually vested in cryptocurrency is still less than 1%. So we have a huge segment of the population who's just now being woken up. CNBC just did 2 stories in the last 48 hours on Ethereum and Bitcoin. That's the first time I think I've seen anything by a major news outlet like a network news cover Ethereum. So yeah, we have a huge segment of population.
I'm sorry, network news seems to really cover Ethereum quite a bit, especially recently. And as far as your prediction for 300 or whoever the guy is, I mean, it could be possible because it hit 200 a couple days ago. So yeah. I'm thinking 2 things are going to happen. Either the price of Ethereum is going to go to 300 to overtake the market cap of Bitcoin, or they're going to start what are the proof of work, and they're going to start pumping out a lot of Ethereum. That's the only other way, 2 ways they're going to overtake the market cap. But let me move on to Ozzy real quick, because I want him to say what. Okay, Ozzy, you said you don't know what the was it the DAO? You didn't know what the DAO was. You had no clue about that with Ethereum.
I know what Josh knows.
Okay.
No, I thought you were talking about the Dow Jones. But no, I have absolutely no clue what that is. But I will be.
Ozzy, just to let you know, that was Ethereum's probably first smart contract. Just to let you know.
Not very smart if they lost 55 million.
Well, what they did is they rolled back the transaction, and that's where you got the split from Ethereum to Ethereum Classic.
See,
Ethereum Classic is actually the original chain, and Ethereum actually is the break-off chain.
See, so that in itself, just the fact that you just said they rolled it back, it'll never be a Bitcoin. It will never fucking be a Bitcoin in its life. Bitcoin, there's no rolling back. There's no changing. I mean, see, okay, you got hacked. You got fucked out of 55 million. Rolling back, you just opened up a can of worms. This is just, my opinion. And this is probably, I mean, one of the reasons why I'm not long-term on it. I have also, I think it's going to go a little bit above 300. I will be selling just a little bit under that. Anywhere, as soon as it hits 250, I'm going to start selling chunks at a time. Because anything that doesn't have a cap is no different than fiat to me. And then especially now that you guys told me about that reversal, which doesn't exist that in Bitcoin, and that's why everybody loves Bitcoin. Why I love Bitcoin.
Wow, that's good. I didn't know you didn't know anything
You
about
guys
that.
know that the inflation rate of Ethereum is, I think they said 15 or 5% for this year, and
I think they're talking about the
when
emissions rate.
per year. Huh?
I think they're
No,
talking
I
about the
mean, I'm
mining.
sorry. Yeah, the added units of ether per year, I think, is in the 5% range. It's not, they're not
What are they gonna
milling and stuff.
What are they gonna do when they stop mining? Because they're supposed to stop mining soon.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not studied up on that, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
what's going on with the Ethereum is, from what I understand, is their emission rate right now, or inflation rate. It's not really. It's just a mining reward. It's about 5%, and it kind of varies depending on how many ether there is, I believe. But after that, they're going to a proof of stake. That means they're not mining anything at all. And from what I understand, from their Ethereum.org website, they're still researching it and still like trying to figure out how to do it. So they're supposed to go proof of stake this year or sometime next year, supposed to. But if they don't, they have something called a difficulty bomb, which they set into the code, the mining, to go the difficulty to go so extremely high that you can't mine and get a block reward. So they're either going to have to hard fork this year or go to proof of stake. So there's a lot of uncertainty going on. I don't know if you know that. Did you know that, Ozzy?
That they're gonna stop mining.
Yeah,
Or
the mining and also the difficulty bomb, and they're
yeah,
gonna have to
well,
hard fork if they don't, in order to
I
stop it,
I
to
own
prolong it or go proof of stake.
Yeah, they're supposed to do it in actually it was supposed to be done in May, but like you said, they can't figure out an easy way to do it. So I owned 5 miners, five actually I had what they call the dual, which is the best miner there is with 7 GPUs in it. I had 5 of those, and I was mining it, and then when they came out with that news, I started selling them off and made a little profit selling those. Because I mean, if you're not gonna, if you're gonna just all of a sudden, oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna stop mining tomorrow, those miners will be worthless in no time. So that's why I got out of mining them.
All right. And let me read something from the chat here. Richie Rich, thank you for coming on. And also Tomcat, thank you for the like button. Richie Rich wrote, everyone buying ETH Ethereum is buying to sell. It's supply and demand meets greed and soon fear. And I have to say, you may be right, Richie Rich, because everyone I encounter, and I always ask him, like, what are you doing with your Ethereum or even Ethereum tokens, the token assets, like Gollum and everything, and they're not even using it. They're literally just buying and holding. I have some of them that I've chatted with on Josh's channel under his comments, that they admit they don't do anything. They just buy and hold, and it's kind of interesting because it's supposed to be used as gas. And Ozzy himself even said he's just buying it to sell it later. What are you gonna sell it for? Like
Well,
Bitcoin?
let's be fair though. I mean, we're talking about a new use case for blockchain technology that hasn't been exploited. You can't run an app on a blockchain technology in the same year that the blockchain becomes available to develop on.
Well, Joshua, there is a website out there that has all these dApps that
Right.
supposedly that were made, but nobody's using them. And I've
Yes.
seen some of these dApps because I've seen other YouTubers try to use them. And basically, you've got to burn your Ethereum to use them. And one guy's playing
Right.
an asteroid game, burning his Ethereum, which makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, this guy's an idiot.
No, the one that you mentioned, Gollum, is actually an interesting use case. So they're trying to allow people to run their computers that they otherwise would be sitting idle as supercomputers, a network supercomputer. And I don't know, how much ether that will cost and what does that equate to in dollars? I don't know. But the idea that you could use a platform to build applications like that, decentralizing, is profound. Now, if it's not going to be Ethereum and it's going to be some other blockchain platform, then let's hear about it. I'm all for that. But eventually, if people want to get away from the client-server relationship and have immutability for all these records, and at the same time be able to maximize the resources of the many rather than pay for the resources of these corporations, we want to cooperate, in other words, be the way they don't do it with Ethereum. I'd like to see what EOS has. I'm very interested in what Dan Larimer said at Consensus on the 22nd. He has a video up. You can look at it on YouTube under, I think it's Apple CRISPR was the name of the user, but they were actually sitting there recording what Dan was saying. If that's the killer for Ethereum, then so be it. Let's see it. But for right now, I cannot see anybody else in the market space who's got the kind of corporate participation. And like you say, nobody's running dApps on their phones. I agree with you. Nobody's doing that. But it's so infantile. And for us to see these companies with massive application use cases for it, and Gollum, who needs some more time to develop, it just can't be deployed in a day. These things have to be built, and they have to have user bases who in mass justify the financial expense it is to build them at the outset. That's how these massive corporations get built, is in quantities, not in just little tiny bits like the participation base is today with Ether. It has to be masses of people. I'll shut up now.
Okay. I hear you. It needs more. You think it needs more time or something?
More users.
Or more users. Well, apparently there's a lot of people buying Ethereum, but not using it yet.
Shop.
I'm glad you brought up Steem and Dan Larimer. Dan Larimer, because he also created Steemit, the website, and Steemit, the token, and Steemit, the Steam-backed dollar. Have you used Steem at all yet, Josh?
I set up an account and I had all these great, fantastic ideas, and then I went home and was reminded I have a real life and couldn't do it. So I know what Steemit is. I have the login to do it. I just haven't done anything on it.
Okay. Just wondering.
Can I answer that?
Yeah. Go ahead, Ozzy.
I'm fucking balling over there, man. I made $1.50 in a week and a half. I post like 3 posts a day about some interesting shit. I mean, I see other posts making $800 and $700 that are bullshit, and I'm posting about current events that make sense, and I'll make like 9 cents or 10 cents. So I'm ready to tell it to fuck off here anytime.
Well, did you know that I've been watching other people's YouTube? I don't even go on it because I think the whole thing's a scam. I think
it's a scam or not. I'm not putting a fucking dime. It keeps telling me buy Steem, buy Steem. I'm telling fuck you. I'm not putting a penny.
They're telling you to buy Steem?
Oh yeah, there's a fucking thing to click to buy Steem, like on every page, every profile, everywhere. There's always a little thing, buy Steem. So yeah. And then not just that, but when you buy it, you can't sell that for 2 fucking years. You know?
Well, I think it was reduced, but are you sure 2 years? Because originally it was
that's
2
what
years.
That's what I heard last, and this was like a week ago, and it was current news. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a year. That's not the point. You know, I owned Facebook stock. If they told me I couldn't sell it for 2 years, I would have never bought it. Even 6 days, I wouldn't buy it. I should be able to buy and sell as I please, number one. Number two, you guys said it was a social network on a blockchain that earn money. Why the fuck are you asking me to buy Steem? And then and then if you want to promote your post, you can promote it, and then you got to pay for it when you're earning 12 cents a post, but they want dollars to promote. So, I mean, you know what? The whole thing so far is, you know, and I made a video about that thing, and I mentioned, do not give them a fucking penny. And I kept saying it every, like, minute on that video. And telling people about it. I'll help promote, but I won't tell them to pay. But I mean, I don't see it succeeding. It's very cheap. They didn't spend no money on software. It's a $5 website that they got at GoDaddy for 99 cents. It's very cheaply made. Now there's another one. There's another one that's coming out. Oxoxylate. Fuck, I can't remember right now, but I can get that name if you guys want. But there's another one coming out that's based on the same thing. Just a little. They're working it a little differently though, because Steam is too confusing. Like, what's power down? What's power up? And then there's Steam dollars, Steam power, Steam. It's like there's 19 different fucking things, and they don't explain what to do. So Joshua, you didn't miss nothing by realizing you had a life.
Okay. Thank you, Ozzy. That was very beneficial. I've had other people comment. I made a video about that, and I think the whole thing's a scam, a pyramid, a Ponzi, and then inside the Steemit platform, there's like a crony capitalism. There's people that they're called the Steemit police. They go around and they downvote you, so your post won't even show up. It just goes on the bottom. So just that fact alone, I don't see how they can compare themselves with Facebook or Twitter.
Let me tell you something.
They can do that.
Facebook just put Snapchat out of fucking business. They're going to put Snapchat out of business. Facebook is daddy. It is daddy, and it's going to be daddy for a long time. That little fucker Zuckerberg, he's all over this shit. Nobody's fucking with Facebook.
Okay. How do you really feel about it?
Well, I own 100 shares, so I'm biased also. But I love Facebook. I promote my businesses there for free. I mean, I saved. My businesses used to spend about 20 grand a month on marketing. We cut after Facebook. We started using Facebook. Now it's down to 5 grand a month instead of 20. And the other 15,000, I saved it, and we just post directly into groups, free. Doesn't cost us a penny. So
right,
Facebook is really awesome for me.
Use Facebook. Don't use Steemit, because they're just going to get you on to sell you Steam. It seems like
it looks like a marketing ploy. Yeah. I mean, I'm really, after a week, and I made $1.36. It's $1.36. What the fuck? I don't know. And I don't know how. And then Adam Meister has like 4 grand in there.
Wow.
And I went to read his post, dude. Unqualification. That's all I'm gonna say. I like the guy.
Yeah. Well, I think there's just a lot of crony capitalism going on. You have to power up your Steam, and then, like I said, you have to buy into it, and then you can participate in the economy. They call it the sharing economy, which I think that they mean share your money with the rest of us.
That's Ponzi.
I have a question from the audience. Carlos Rivero, thank you for watching, coming on. He wants to know, what do you both? I mean, you both have Ethereum. What do you think about Ethereum Classic, the Ethereum that did not fork and that is going to remain proof of work? Do you have any comments on those? I mean, they do the same thing as Ethereum. You can still do the tokenized assets, the smart contracts. So let's go with Josh. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not in that, and I did a little homework before I got into Ethereum, undistinguished Ethereum, unqualified Ethereum. The only reason that I'm not really hip on the Ethereum Classic is I just don't think that the development resources that are being committed to Ethereum are being committed to Ethereum Classic. I think it doesn't have the people behind it, the momentum behind it that regular Ethereum does. I can't get behind it right now because I don't understand it enough to appreciate the distinction. I don't see advantages. That's my take.
Okay. How about you, Ozzy?
Gold has a child named Silver. Bitcoin has a child named Litecoin. Ethereum has a child called Classic. That's it.
Okay, that's your words.
That's all it is. It's just It's just like if you can't pay $90 or $190 for the Ethereum, you can go with the Classic for $10. I mean, that's really basically what it is. There's no, I can't see any difference. Any difference.
Right. Okay. I mean, this is great because you are buying. You're an investor. So this is your perspective. And if anybody from Ethereum Classic, from Steemit, if you're watching this, if you want to be taken seriously, you should listen to these people. These are new people coming into the space. That's why I have Joshua and Ozzy here. I did want to bring up one thing before we kind of just move on, or if anybody else has any questions, is that with Ethereum, the price being high, I'm going to go back to the smart contract thing, because the whole purpose of Ethereum was to run this Ethereum virtual machine and to do these smart contracts. With the high price that it is, that would essentially make these contracts very expensive. Like Gollum, to run a contract at these prices, I think they'd come up to like $8 for the gas cost. Would that be feasible if these prices continue to go up? What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, that's the impetus behind proof of stake. I mean, that's the whole reason they need something to not rely so heavily on computation, electricity, to make all these smart contracts transact. You have to have select nodes on the network be the predictors, or put your Ethereum on the line and give me a prediction of whether or not this particular submitted block is valid enough to be added to the chain. And if you're wrong, then we're going to penalize you. We're going to take money away from you. If you're right, then you get awarded. So that's,
well, even if they went to proof of stake, the high cost, if the price of Ethereum is going up, it's still going to be an expensive gas cost.
I think that the reason that the gas costs anything at all is it all ties back to the physical implication. The expense of resources in the physical world is being quantified by these gas assigned costs. So if the physical resource depletion, the electricity costs comes down, I would think, and I don't know this, but I would think that the gas cost would come down in the dApp space. I would think.
Okay, all right. So would that also mean once you go to proof of stake, the price would go down too?
I don't know that just because the gas costs less, that the unit of gas as a resource to be spent on dApps is any less valuable. I don't know.
Okay, all right.
I don't know.
How about you, Ozzy? What are your thoughts on this?
I don't like the whole idea of having to risk anything about a prediction. That just doesn't sound right to me. And especially at 1,000 Ethereum, 1,000 Ethereum right now is 200 Gs. I mean, you're talking big money, and to get penalized in predictions, and I mean, the more I hear, the quicker I want to sell, dude. I mean, the fuck. Yeah, so I don't know about all that, man. I mean, that really, I mean, look, dude, as an investor, I don't know, the different, I mean, there's different levels of investors. There's guys that buy a few, as the level investor that I am, this kind of talk scares me. I mean, it really makes me want to run away. Old school investing, from what I know, is like, if you're asking me to be a master node and own 1,000, you're asking me to own 1,000, and especially at that price, there should be zero risk to me. Zero, no penalties, no. Now, of course, any type of attacks or doing things on purpose to, like Joshua mentioned earlier, trying to bluff the system purposely, that's a different story. But yeah, I wouldn't get involved in that at all. No way.
Okay. I think you just hit the nail on the head, though. That's why they're asking you to risk that. And keep in mind, most of the master node holders would probably be people who got in when the initial,
like $10 and $8.
Yeah, I
No
mean,
problem.
those people are few and far between, right? The normal guy like me is maxing at 100, and the risk that they bear in mispredicting that a given block submission is valid to the blockchain that they have on their node, I think that's a small risk. If it incentivizes the node, I've been thinking about this a lot. It incentivizes the node holder to have correct hardware and to use good practices and software to scan their own node, scan their own blockchain record against whatever the submitted block is being broadcast to that network. Or does it match? Does it match the rest of the chain? Is it a valid transaction? So if on my particular master node, if I'm running software outside, you could even augment the software that Ethereum gives you to run a node. You could say, okay, I have a 15 terabyte hard drive RAID that I can run multiple threads on whenever there's a submission from the network, and I can respond back out faster than anybody else, any other master node on the network. That incentivizes me. If I get paid for giving a correct prediction as a master node versus being penalized because I predicted wrong. What does that do? It says that the people who don't keep up on their master node with the hardware and the software to run it the fastest are going to get left behind on the reward system that incentivizes the whole thing.
Can you explain prediction, the word prediction, when you say that? What does that mean exactly, please?
Right. So instead of the entire consensus of the network being garnered on a proof of work network, so when you send out your block submission to the blockchain network, you're saying, can you all confirm that this transaction is valid? Can you confirm that I have assigned to my key the record of this number of Bitcoin that I should be able to use in this transaction? Is my bank account big enough? All those computers have to run and reach a consensus to validate that you have a valid transaction. They check their whole blockchain to make sure that your one block is valid against all those other blocks in that chain. So if I am predicting, the reason I'm using the word prediction is that I don't have to wait for all of the other nodes on the consensus to come back and say, yes, you match me, you match me, you match me, you match me. Instead, I'm saying, I'm going to check my node, my record, my blockchain on my computer, and I'm going to scan it and make sure and have confidence that I am correct. And I'm going to go out there and broadcast it before everybody else.
Ah, okay. I now it's okay. I think the word prediction. I think you should use a better word for it, because the word prediction is like a guess, and then you use penalize after that. Okay, now I understand. So basically, what you're saying is how you need to have good hardware and keep it up to date.
That, and you can't mess around with it. So if you're trying to
Ethereum and that's it.
You can't do funny transactions. It basically tells the rest of the network that if you're out there submitting, it gives confidence in the network, because they say if you're out there submitting verifications, consensus in the network, you're submitting your consensus in the network that you have validated against your own blockchain record, that submitted block, that you're not out there submitting something that is just going to benefit you or somebody you're in cahoots with, because it could be baloney. You are the filter of such things, sir. So you would want to say, if you're going to submit something like that, you get knocked down a peg, and I'm going to take your Ethereum away from you. It's an incentive.
Okay.
To
keep them honest.
Yeah, keep them honest.
Keep them honest. Okay, I got a lot better understanding. Thank you.
Yeah, so basically, Josh, what you're saying is basically this network has to, it's somewhat based on the trust of that node person running to make sure that they're doing the right thing against everyone else. Is that right?
That's right, and that's why they submit the 1,000 Ethereum to be on the chopping block if they're coming back with bad consensus. If they're coming back with bad validation against their own node blockchain version.
So instead of buying like hundreds of thousands of mining equipment, They're just saying, here, just give us $100,000 and don't lie to us.
Let me,
Okay.
can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Ozzy.
It's for Joshua. What happens if multiple nodes go into cahoots? What could possibly happen?
That's the same kind of scenario that you have with, I think, what's called an ASIC attack, where 51% of a given proof of work network, Bitcoin, would be able to form the consensus against the other network. The most complex solution is the winner in a blockchain scenario. So 49% of the network has a solution that it's still working on, and the 51% submits their solution, which is more complex than the 49%, and the 51% wins, and it can do whatever it wants. In a scenario that you just described, if you had multiple submitters, there are enough masternodes that it would be pretty difficult to organize that. I don't know the answer if it became so many.
Do you know how many there is now?
There aren't masternodes today because it all works on proof of work.
Okay. Well, when they do, there's no unknown how many there is when it starts, or if it does start.
I don't know how many nodes they would have, but I think right now, let me look at coin market cap for a second. I'm just going to tell you how many outstanding coins there are. There are 91 million outstanding ETH right now in the almost 92 billion in supply. So you figure that
there's 900,000. Yeah, there's a lot. There could be a lot.
That doesn't mean those are nodes. That does not equate to a node. But you yourself, that you have, I'm going to guess you have in the range of 100 to 1,000 Ether. That's just one guy. So out there in the Ether space, there's probably, God knows, there's probably tens of thousands of computers running the blockchain from Ethereum on their particular computer connected to the network.
All right, guys, I'm going to interrupt here a little bit because we got about 10 more minutes before we reach an hour. I want to put Ozzy on the spot a little bit. I want to tell your story about what happened from the last episode. What happened, because I think this is something that's going to
fuck, man.
This is a story that everyone hears or everyone does. You said that you were gonna try to buy 5 Bitcoins, right?
So you know what? Here, I have the proof right here. Hold on, one second.
All right. Did you get it? Did you end up getting the Bitcoins in time?
Not yet. So check this out, guys. So I make a video talking about how it jumped to 2,000. Me and my wife made a decision to go and buy 5 more Bitcoin. So I go to my bank and I literally pull out 10 G's. And they're still in my fucking pocket till this day. 10 G's to go and buy these 5 Bitcoin. I go to sleep, waking up, I'm supposed to call his lawyer so I can go buy them. By the time I wake up, it went up $200. So that fucked up my whole plan. So me and my wife talked a little more. We decided to ride out the week, hoping that it would, kind of drop back down, maybe like the low 2000s, maybe 2040, 2050. And now it's at like 24. So that whole plan got shot right now.
Yeah,
it's fucked up.
What are you okay now okay, so the price went up. What are you going to do now? Because I want to know what you as an investor, are you going to ride it out, or what happens if the price keeps going up? I mean,
well, no, it's not backing down at all. I don't see it not even a correction or nothing. It's going to fly to 3,000. I actually did a video yesterday where I said it's going to fly to 3,000 from 7 to 10 days max. I mean, max. Wow. It's going to hit 3,000. It's on fire. And I mean, there's many reasons why. And because there's so many reasons why, nothing's going to let it go. So I think I'm just gonna buy with $10,000 worth and just swallow my fucking dumb shit move and riding out the week.
Now, you also tried to sign up for an exchange. Tell us your experience on that, because I think that's really important, because people are coming in thinking they could just sign up and they'll open an account.
Oh no, it's you know, and I'm signed up to three exchanges and operational. Like I can buy, I can do everything. And I went to sign up for another one that I had just heard about. And by the way, I didn't like. They only have two. They only have two coins. They only have Bitcoin. I went to go sign up at what is it called? Gemini, and and they sent me an email saying I submitted everything they asked. They asked for everything. I mean, they want license, they want a bill, it's crazy. So I submitted everything, and then they sent me an email saying we are flooded. We are. It might take up to a week to get to you, to even approve you, and it's been about 24 hours. I still haven't got nothing else from them. So they're behind. We have a huge influx of people getting into Bitcoin. Actually, just this morning, I got my first text from someone that wants to buy Litecoin, and they know I mine it, and they were wondering if I would sell it to them if they paid me cash. I didn't have the heart to say no, but fuck, I definitely didn't want to sell it to them. But I said yes. So you are, and indeed, and if you knew these people, I mean, I don't even think they own a laptop. so it's getting out there. It's getting out there.
Wow, that's a good story. Wow, yeah, it's everyone. There you go. Here's a story from Ozzy the BS filter.
Yeah.
Don't wait, man. Don't wait.
No,
if you
no,
get
no.
it, go get it. You
Yeah,
know, if you wait, the price is just moving. We're in a bull run right now.
We're in a bull run. You know, can I elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
About a week ago, I made a video. I was in downtown LA, and I made a video about the bubble. The bubble has started. It is officially started. Now we are in the beginning stages. I mentioned that you need to see 10 coins, 500 above, and 10 other coins that are 100 and above before we could call it a complete bubble. And man, are we close. I mean, we have 4 coins already that are over 100, and we have 3 or 4 that are over 50. So you're gonna see the bubble grow from right now till about the end of the summer. It is just gonna keep going. Take your profits, because the correction is gonna be fucking ugly. Did you guys hear me? Am I still through, or?
Yeah, we heard you.
You just laid it
time frame on that correction.
Yeah, that correction. The correction is going to be ugly, and if you did not get out in time, take your profits. Don't be greedy. Don't go for that fucking 5-time, 10-time bullshit. Take your profits. Leave a few coins if you know. There's a great system to use. Let's just say, for example, you bought 100 coins of something. It doubled in price. Sell 75%. Sell 75 of them. Keep 25 if you want for the long run. Do not risk your cash. Take your money back. Take some profit, and then let the rest ride. That's the best advice I can give you. Because the correction is going. I've seen it too many times, and the bubble, I say, started this weekend. It just started. People are talking about like it's ready to pop. They're out of their fucking mind. They have bubbles are $1 trillion things. They're not fucking billions. Billions are nothing.
So would you say that's like Bitcoin or all the altcoins out there? Just
everything. Everything's gonna take but Bitcoin. See, here's the thing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is something that you have to buy to get into the altcoin. You can't. It's very hard to go. Like, even if you use Coinbase, you can only buy a certain amount of Ether. They don't just let you, here's 10 G's, buy 10 G's. No, if you use a credit card, there's $150 a week limit. So Bitcoin is the easiest thing to buy. And then you go into exchange and then you buy your other stuff. So Bitcoin will not get hit as hard as the altcoins will get hit.
Okay. Wow. All right. Everyone heard that from Ozzy the BS Filter. He's an investor. So, Joshua, any last words from you? Any price predictions or anything that you want to add? We're almost at to the end of the show here.
Yeah, I would just say there are two things that are critical happening in the monetary world in general. That is Southeast Asia and Asia as a whole are accepting Bitcoins as currency.
Yep, Japan, Australia soon. Sorry to
People
interrupt.
people are migrating to that all over the world right now. And I think those countries are also tired of seeing the U.S. Dollar be the reserve currency. I think they're tired of us doing quantitative easing. And I think if you take a listen to some of the prognosticators, we're in for a huge correction in the U.S. economy in general. So I would have a safe haven in a little bit of cryptocurrency and some precious metals. And that's just my word to everybody.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Just
Joshua, it was a pleasure meeting you.
Likewise,
yes,
sir.
Let us know, Joshua, before you go, let us know where people can find you. I know you have a channel. Do you have any other Twitter or Facebook or anything?
Yeah, you can go to windgineer.com, windgineer.com, and you can find me on all my social media stuff there.
Okay. And what about you, Ozzy? Do you have any Facebook, Twitter, or
I
anything
do.
else?
I have Facebook, I have a Twitter, and I have a YouTube. Facebook is Osmi Alsanam, and I think my Twitter is the same thing. Go to my channel. I mean, if you link our channels, I think that would make it easier for everybody.
I have a link to your channels in the notes section.
Yeah.
So I think you all have a link to your Twitter and your Facebooks up on there.
Yeah. I'm gonna add them today. My Twitter's on there. My Facebook not yet, but it will be there today.
All right, so this concludes this episode. It was a great show. Thank you, guys. I think it gave the audience a lot. And wait, before I go, let's see if we have any. No, nothing in the comments. Just a lot of chit chat. So this concludes this episode. So everyone, stay tuned for the next one. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye, guys.